The next Witcher game is coming. Exactly when and exactly what it's going to be, we don't know any of that. But there's a decent chance you haven't gotten everything out of Witcher 3 yet. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, Witcher 3, 10 new things discovered by fans. Starting off at number 10, if you wait for 7 years in the game, a character is gonna die. Now, it's not necessarily a death of major consequence, but it was a long time coming. It also might be the final Easter egg left in Witcher 3 and was finally discovered back in March by a Reddit user named xLitalis. Now this one requires a little bit of explanation, so just follow along with me here. So during the Blood and Wine expansion, you can take on a side quest, the Warble of a Smitten Knight. Now your main goal is to lift a curse on Vivienne de Tabris. At the end, you're either given the choice of transferring her curse to someone else or removing it entirely, but getting rid of it entirely would only leave her with a few years to live. So to see this little secret, obviously you have to choose the second option to remove the curse entirely. Once you do that, she leaves to explore the world and do as much as she can with the time that she has left, and most people probably thought that was the end of the Easter egg. You can find her in a few different places and talk to her, and some people thought that was the Easter egg, but now of course we know there's more to it. Now it works exactly like it sounds. You just wait around for 7, literally 7, in-game years, which is a lot of meditating. You can actually find her in Skellige, dead from the effects of lifting the curse. Now actually waiting around that long is, well, not something I would want to do, so the only real way to see this little surprise is to cheat, and it's a tiny little detail that requires a player to go above and beyond to see, so much so that it actually took players nearly 7 actual years to find this. At number 9, you can actually find Yennefer's Crystal Raven Skull from the opening cutscene. So during the opening cinematic of the game, Yennefer, the witch that Geralt spent the first 2 games of the series searching for, is seen fighting a battle using, among other things, a magic raven that changes into a Crystal Raven Skull at the end of the cutscene. Like most players, I assumed this is just a cool looking thing that they made for the CGI opening, but no, you can actually find that crystal skull right around the spot where it would have fallen. Now, what makes it so easy to miss though is that it doesn't stick around forever. You have to find it before completing the Beast of White Orchard quest, otherwise it's gone forever. It's actually found a little to the northeast of the crossroads where you start the game, and if you manage to hold on to it, you can actually return the item to Yennefer when you finally meet her again in Skellige. It's maybe 15 seconds tops in new dialogue, but the fact they even let you find this thing and talk to her about it is a pretty impressive bit of detail. At number 8, the Equine Phantoms quest has a secret ending. One of the more amusing contracts in Blood and Wine is the Equine Phantoms side quest, where, after drinking an unusual brew, Geralt can suddenly understand his horse Roach. The whole thing is worth playing through yourself just to see it, and like a lot of these sort of quests go, you have 2 different options to resolve things at the end. Normally that would be it, but this specific quest actually has a pretty funny third option to take. So instead of those 2 options, you can just walk away. Like if you either don't drink the brew or just give up and walk away after speaking to Roach the first time, the quest will fail. But if you return to the hermit and talk to her, she reveals that your horse Roach managed to solve the mystery on its own, which is pretty rare for a quest to resolve by itself, let alone by a horse. But it's an appropriately strange ending for one of the goofiest quests in the entire game. At number 7, you can control the weather. It's something you might have found but didn't realize that it was even supposed to be something. On the island of Pharaoh in Skellige, there's 3 shrines dedicated to Heimdall. If you interact with them, you'll get a message saying your prayers have been heard. Now, Geralt isn't really one for praying, so a lot of players may not immediately know what that means. It doesn't take long, though, to see that, even though it doesn't say anywhere what you actually did, depending on the shrine you interact with, the weather will change. If you use the southernmost shrine, it'll start snowing. Use the western shrine, and a thunderstorm will start up. And if you use the northern shrine, it gives you clear skies. There's also actually an eastern shrine as well, but it doesn't really do anything. Why any of this is in the game, I don't really know, but it is an interesting detail. At number 6, you can kill the Beast of Toussaint instantly. During the first real quest in the Blood and Wine DLC, you encounter a giant that, depending on what level you are, can be pretty tough to take down. There is a way to making him much easier though. Just target his eye. If you aim carefully with the crossbow and hit him right through the little hole in his helmet, that will kill the giant instantly and earn the David and Goliath achievement. It's easier to pull off with the skill that makes it so time slows down when you're aiming with the crossbow, but it is possible to do without it. Now, this is the only giant that can be killed instantly through this method. The other ones seem to take a lot of damage from getting shot in the eye, and this One of the Beasts of Toussaint quest is the only one that actually seems to die instantly from it. At number 5, there is an easier way to complete the quest, A Dangerous Game. After you save Dandelion, you can do a quest with Zoltan that involves collecting a few Gwent cards from various characters. The first involves a guy named Ravik, who eventually gets taken by some thugs who threaten to kill him unless you play a game of Gwent. If you lose the game, he dies, and if you refuse, he dies. So basically, the only way to get a good outcome is to play Gwent. If you're not that good at Gwent, or don't have a very strong deck, then the whole sequence can be pretty frustrating if you want to save the guy, but there is actually another option. Instead of talking to the bandits at all, just throw a bomb at them. This immediately starts up a fight with them, and it allows you to totally bypass the choice. After they're all dead, Ravik will just give you the card you need, and it's a small thing, but it makes it a lot easier to get through this quest if you haven't been playing a whole lot of games of Gwent. And although I actually like Gwent quite a bit, I know that there's plenty of people who don't really love it. At number 4, you can actually cut off a Grave Hag's tongue. The Grave Hag is pretty much the only monster you can riposte, and the way you do this is by cutting off her tongue by parrying at the right time. So you do this, and she can't poison you anymore. It's not like riposting against humans, though. It's harder. You can also do this on small flying enemies about to dive on you by just using their sound cue to parry at the right time. But most monsters' attacks just can't be parried in this game. The primary exception, and probably the most interesting one, is the Grave Hag, like we said, which likes to attack you with its tongue. Most of the time, the monster special attacks are avoided, but in this one instance, you can counterattack. Like I said a second ago, if you time it right, you actually do cut off the creature's tongue entirely, and that does make the fight a little easier. The timing is tricky, so most of the time it's easier to just kill these things by simply attacking them and not worrying about countering, but just the fact you can do it is pretty cool, and I had no idea you could. At number 3, you can kill flying enemies instantly by knocking them into the water. It's actually one of the most useful tricks early on because enemies tend to die instantly when they hit the water. So the way you do this is that you can use the Ard sign to sometimes send certain enemies flying. That's the way you're going to be doing it to these types of enemies. But with flying enemies, usually the easiest way to deal with them is to simply cast the Axii sign, which stuns them in the midair. If they crash into the water, that kills them instantly. Some of the toughest enemies from Witcher 3 are flying ones, so having a way to immediately eliminate them is pretty handy. You can even do it to the Griffin in White Orchard. That's how early you can pull this trick off, and as long as there's a body of water around, it works pretty much every time. At number 2, there is a donkey that makes gold. Now, the Blood and Wine expansion has a lot of wild stuff in it. It doesn't really tonally match the rest of the world that Geralt can occupy, and a lot of that stuff can be found in the Beyond Hill and Dale quest that transports you into a land of 1,000 fables. Now, this whole place is great. There's like a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, there's a golden goose, and, a donkey that lays gold. Now, lay means it shits gold. It shits the gold out. That is what is happening here. You can find it in the castle, in the clouds, in the stables. You find a donkey, look on the floor, and you'll find it's gold, so let's just call it a reward. It might seem like this would be an easy way to make a lot of money, but it's not regular gold, it's magic gold, which might as well be worthless. Once you leave the illusion, it just disappears from your inventory, but at least you can sell it to the little girl inside the illusion. By this point in the game, however, a few crowns in exchange isn't really worth wasting your time, but you can do something with this golden poop. And finally, at number 1, you can fast travel from any boat. Yeah, this is a really small thing, but it can save you a ton of time. So much so that it is ridiculous, especially in Skellige, where half the time you're just rowing from one island to the next. So save yourself some time, just open up your map when you're in a boat, select a dock, and you'll instantly travel to it. For whatever reason, this is a thing that a lot of people, myself included, don't immediately realize is possible. Some even while spending hundreds of hours with the game. There is more fast travel stuff I didn't know about too. Like if you travel to the edge of the world, the game will automatically open up the map and let you fast travel from there. That would have been nice to know before doing basically everything in Skellige already, but at least I know about it now. And that is the end for today. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a good time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications, and as always, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.